Daniel Van Tijn, the founder of Intellijel, an absolutely wonderful modular synthesizer company. Daniel, thank you for taking the time to listen to it. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Can you show us what you have here for NAMM 2018?
Sure. So you have to reach over a little bit, but the first one is this new Joystick Module. It looks just like our old planar, but the old planar was analog, and this is a totally digital implementation controlling analog stuff. The reason we did this is that we had some interesting ideas that we wanted to implement, and I'll show you if I turn up the volume a little bit here. So I've got this riff playing. I'm going to actually stop this and delete this, and you'll see I can move this joystick around, and it's generating CV on these outputs, and I can actually generate CV on these outputs here as well. And if I hit record, I'm going to stop flashing. I can do these gestures and then it'll play them back. If we turn this up, we'll hear the...
So the joystick has recorded your gestural controls and allowed you to be able to then use that as a control voltage repeatedly to be able to make something musical happen with it.
Exactly, and I can, if I hit record here again, I can do some gates in there too. So now it's just waiting for the trigger, because we've set this to quite a few stages, so I'm going to go to kind of easy way to generate an interesting riff or passage. I've just sort of quickly patched something up here, but if you take some time to pick some really good destinations, especially on things like the shapeshifter with the morphing and the shapes, or I've got on Rainmaker on pitch right now, but there's a lot of parameters on that would yield like dramatic changes. And then being able to just loop them and change them on your whim is pretty fun.
Wonderful.
And then feeding this right now, I'm going to turn this to dry so you can hear that little pulse is because I have this gate, so I'm going to just stop that. We've got a new version of the Rubicon here. Let's turn this down. So this new version is a little bit bigger because it has some new waveforms on it. So if I hit stop here, and we're just going to listen to the waveform if I bring it up. So I'm just opening up the Morgazotron filter. Actually, I can put it to dry. And right now we're listening to the new output of the Rubicon called Warp. And Warp takes one waveform and adds it with tri-state pulse. And because of this unique shape, it pushes kind of chunks of the waveform up or down. So right now I've got the sub and I'm going to push up. You can hear the harmonics changing. Yeah. And I can pulse width modulate those. I can change which kind of tri-state is mixing. And now that's a sub down and 2 octaves up, so you're getting quite a large span.
Wow.
And then of course you can animate these because they're voltage controlled. So if we take modulation source here and then another one. And then I can take another signal and patch it in place of the sub. So now I'm going to turn down this modulation. I'm going to put in a sine wave. So in the middle here I basically get a sine, and as I morph to either side I'm pushing the chunks out. It's really quite interesting to see on a oscilloscope. It's very unique shapes that are generated.
Really cool.
And we added, because you're pushing the waveform out of bounds of 10 volts peak to peak, we added this thing we're calling Squish Circuit, which is a fixed folder, a simple folder, and it's sort of set for just above 10 volts peak to peak. There's actually, you could trimmer to make it more aggressive. So when I engage that, you're going to hear a timbre change. Oh, wrong switch. There we go. And now go down an octave, it sounds even better.
Huh.
Nice growls.
Reminds me of old digital wave folders.
Yeah. So now if we animate this.
And then, an awful lot of variety you can get out of that without touching a filter or anything at all.
And not being a complex oscillator, it's kind of designed so that you can make a complex oscillator out of any combination at this point. So you could take any other modulator and then use this as your thing, because you've got a FM index, so it already has the VCA built in for that. Yeah. It's got this sort of wave shaping built in as well. And at any point you could be modulating it with quite a few different things. You could be syncing it. You could be doing through zero FM, expo FM, pulse width modulation, and warping all at the same time.
Wow.
And then if you pair it up with something like this, then you've got all that animated in one control too.
That's a tremendous amount in just 2 modules.
I'm going to show if we. Now, where did the audio go? There we go. All right. So now we're going to take just the sine out, and I'm going to modulate with through Z FM, through 0 FM. We have this lock, and it actually, when you flick the switch, symmetry is changed to be near 0, but it also adjusts for the pitch. So you can hear the difference between through Z FM and regular FM. So that's regular, that's through 0.
Wow, very different. I really love the sound of your sine waves and your triangle waves in your oscillators. I think those are my favorite.
Thank you. That's something that David Dixon made sure was as perfect as possible.
Yeah.
It's very well specified shaper circuits for that, and we trimmers so that we can make sure the harmonics are minimized. Yeah,
that's great.
And then those were both feeding the new version of the Corgazotron. So we're just going to get a square. Let's just put a pulse into there. Turn this out, and so right now that's just regular low pass.
Yeah.
We have this distortion switch that's modeled after Proco Rat. And because of the way that this architecture is set up, I can have this side dry and put them in parallel, and then I can wet dry the effect. I can put these in series, and then have this one be distorted, and then this one be the tone control.
Wow.
I can put these both dry and have them just be a crossfader. I can have dry and then invert this one, and then this is a ring mod. Both of these could be set up to, let's just stop the sequence. You can turn down the input. Both of these are going to oscillate now. And then I can change the tone with the drive and then also the distortion. And then those track. Sorry about the volume there, but
That's okay.
yeah.
Now I've really noticed that over time, your philosophy seems to have shifted from smaller modules to larger modules that take up more screen real estate.
Yeah.
Or more, but also have, you know, every different plug and every different way to be able to, you know, modulate that you can possibly think of.
I think we've definitely, our designs have been evolving, and there's things that we're factoring in. Like our early days made them as small as possible, but they were also more discrete utilities.
Right.
And the idea was that people were going to do more of the patching to create what they want. But the reality is that's not the culture so much now. And I think people prefer to have things that are a bit more of a mini self-contained unit. So that's why on something like the Morgazatron, we really wanted to make it do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, you're probably not buying it as a crossfade or a ring mod, but it's there in case you want to do something else, and it actually could lead to some creative results that apply to the filter. The same as using it as, it's kind of large for a distortion unit, but then it becomes really interesting. And in general, we want to make sure our controls have the right size knobs. These things are used for attenuators, not main controls. And like, if each one is as good as it can be, then putting a few of these together, you should be able to create some pretty interesting patches, and with a smaller amount of stuff in total.
Sure, which makes a lot of sense. And the serendipity that maybe you give up by not having as much patching, you get back because there are so many controls and knobs in there.
Yeah.
You'll still be able to create something that nobody else has done and create a different original sound that you weren't expecting.
That's the whole
wonderful sort of exploration aspect of modular synthesizers.
I especially find that's true with analog stuff, where there's way more room for happy accidents. I always feel with digital, as lush as they can be, that almost everything you're going to be able to do with it is sort of already preconceived in some way. Like, and then it becomes more fun on how you interpatch them, and that's where the real magic happens. But with analog, like sometimes just sitting just with this and feeding a steady tone in and doing, like, we could do that right now if you want. So we're going to turn off the sequence, and we're going to bring up square wave into this. Turn down this modulation. I mean the oscillations. Now we put some slow modulation into it. It's very noisy here, but there's so much texture and stuff in there.
The amount of animation that you can have to timbres as a result of doing this stuff is just wonderful.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice.
This is what attracted me into this whole world to begin with, was the unknown pleasures of analog stuff in particular. And now we have quite a few digital modules that I love too. And then even cooler when there's a hybrid of both. But sometimes these pure analog ones, to me, still are filled with magic. Like, I still will patch things up on this that put a smile on my face, and it's so simple. But
you know, I think where my thinking is coming to with this whole digital analog thing is that digital is absolutely wonderful for control voltage generation for doing all sorts of complex stuff like that analog can't do. But analog sounds, the filters and the oscillators and maybe even the VCAs, there's something wonderful there that digital hasn't caught up with yet.
Yeah, sometimes the emulations are pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But I think there's a psychological aspect too, to feeling like your unit might be special.
Yeah.
Because there's a possibility, but with a digital unit, it's probably impossible.
Yeah.
And the hope is that your sum of all these things that might have something unique, like in there, like it's your creation. You've made some kind of gem, you know.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Daniel. Do you have anything else to show us that it's a new product, or are we?
No, just recent, like with this new mix-up series, these little mixers that have mutes on them. They're chainable.
Great.
Super inexpensive and very, very high quality audio path. And we have this for the 1U format, this pedal interface. And actually it would sound really good on this if you want to patch that up really quickly.
Sure.
I've just got a old Boss phaser.
The old Boss phaser.
I'm going to send and return that. Let's find our audio source here, which is...
Yeah, those 1U modules are great for sort of the little utility stuff like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't take up some of your really valuable real estate.
So we're going to go straight from the X fade. Oh no, wrong one. Straight from the mix. That's going to go into the effect, and then out of it, it's going to come here. And we're going to turn this on.
So great.
Thank you.
It's so nice. Everybody's got tons of guitar pedals, and it's so difficult to interface them because the voltage is so different.
And the impedances too that you need. So yeah, it just made it easy, and now I'm kind of getting addicted to guitar pedals, and there's so many to buy. So
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
It's really been a pleasure. I hope you have a great NAMM.
Thank you.
That your voice manages to hold on for the next 4 days.
Thank you, and my sanity.
And your sanity. Bye now.
Bye.